Good morning, Santa Clarita. Hello, welcome in. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. I'm your host, Matt Watson. It's good to have you. Good morning, so glad you're here. This special edition of Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers is brought to you by KHTS in collaboration with SCVi and iLEAD Charter Schools. We come to you live each day at 9 a.m., providing the support that we can on your distance learning journey. You've probably all hit your stride, and so we continue to move forward with that support that we provide you. We're continually curating and adding new resources to the website we've been talking about, Homeschooling Answers. Have you been over to homeschoolinganswers.com? There you're going to find support and everything that you and your kids need, whether it's by grade level. If you've got a third grader that needs a little bit more, then go on in and click on third grade, and we've got all kinds of resources for them, kindergarten through 12th grade. If you're looking for something in the way of social studies and you want to go more the subject area route, go ahead and do that. We've got them curated both ways. We've also got plenty of supports for parents and families. There's parenting tips, there's parenting courses, webinars, seminars. There's all different kinds of things there. There's a lot of free resources out there right now, and it's tough to weed through the stuff that's truly free, the stuff that's actually valuable. We've done all that for you. We've had our curriculum and our parenting experts go through all those web sources for you and sort and add the things that we think would add benefit to you. So head on over again to homeschoolinganswers.com. Check us out, see what we've got, and if you're not finding what you need, shoot us an email, would you, at homeschoolinganswers@ileadschools.org. You can also use that email if you'd like to send questions for the mayor. That's right. We've got our regular Tuesday guest, Mayor Cameron Smyth. He's coming up in just a minute, so either post your questions on the Facebook Live feed or send them over to me at homeschoolinganswers, that's plural, homeschoolinganswers@ileadschools, again plural, .org, homeschoolinganswers@ileadschools.org, or again, you can post them on our Facebook Live feed. We've got Mayor Smyth coming up here in just a minute. We've also got Sara McDaniels we'll be talking to in hour number 2. She is iLEAD School's Strategic Arts Coordinator. And of course, we will wrap up hour 2 with our friend and official licensed marriage and family therapist, Kristina de Bree. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, if you've got questions for Mayor Cameron Smyth, go ahead and start posting on our Facebook Live feed or send them to homeschoolinganswers@ileadschools.org. My first guest is the mayor. You know Mayor Smyth. You know all about how he was born and raised here in Santa Clarita, how he was a standout student athlete at Hart High School and UC Davis. You know all about his family and how he was raised by 2 educators, how his father, Clyde Smyth, became the superintendent of the William S. Hart School District before becoming a member of our city council and mayor himself. You know how Cameron got his start in politics early in life, serving as this area's state assemblyman, in addition to his service on our city council, including 4 terms as our mayor now. But, oh, what a year to be mayor. Think about it. Late summer, it seemed like just about every other Friday we had a wildfire here that was threatening and actually taking homes. I'm always impressed by our firefighters, how they're able to save homes and skirt those flames around homes, but we lost quite a few earlier this school year, back in the late summer, and then in the late fall, the tragic school shooting that we all had to deal with, and now in the late winter. Well, it started in the late winter, and we're still deep into this whole pandemic and the economic and other fallout. So Mayor Smyth, welcome back. You picked a fine year to be mayor, didn't you?
I always kind of joke, right? When most people that run for office all say that they're the right person to make the tough decisions, and I'm one of those. I'm fortunately in that position where I am being tested I get to make those tough decisions. So
you get to make some of those tough decisions, and as I was sitting down preparing for the show last night, I was thinking we as a city have kind of put you in a tough spot as we become more and more polarized. And you are faced with the difficult task of running our city during this time and dealing with some pretty extreme needs. We've all got our opinions, and those are based on our needs. I've talked about my sister-in-law and how she lives with someone in their 80s who is someone dealing with a very severe illness, as well as a couple other people in the family that have got respiratory failure, and then there's me and my son who are relatively young and healthy, and we're two very different situations, and it's your job to kind of represent not only both of our families, but then all over the spectrum there. So it's not an easy job you've got. Mr. Mayor, since the last time we've talked, you've been quite busy. You and the other members of the city council decided to draft a letter. You've been writing letters to the LA County Board of Supervisors. You've been opening city services and working to lead our city, like I said, through some of the more diverse and difficult points of thought and opinion as ever before. So where do we start? Let's start with that letter that you wrote with the coalition that you started working to build with some of our neighboring cities. Like I said, last week, just a few hours after you left our show, you and the other members of the city council decided to draft that letter to the Board of Supervisors requesting a variance in the speed with which we, along with some of the other North County neighbors, open back up. So first of all, am I missing any of the important details of the letter that you drafted? And then second, have you heard a response yet?
No, I think you've kind of hit on the genesis and the picture of why we moved forward with it. But I think it's a good point to remind that the people of Santa Clarita, and particularly LA County, are really being I hate to say this, but are really being I don't want to say mistreated, but it's you can understand the frustration in this community and certainly amongst the council is very high and quite frankly very justified. Mm-hmm. You're seeing counties across the state, you're seeing communities across the country moving forward with opening up and getting people's lives back, getting their businesses open, schools getting scheduled, activities, dance classes, youth sports, all of those programs kind of getting either re-upping or being scheduled for the summer or fall. And here we have the public health officer in Los Angeles County deciding that they're going to extend the state, the current order to a degree which there is no timetable for it to end. And I think people were very willing and understanding to spend 2 months, social distancing, giving up their, many people have lost, their businesses, kids giving up their activities, their friends, their school routines, families willing to make that sacrifice with the belief that if that was done, there would be progress. And for, the unelected Department of Public Health official to say, well, thanks for doing all that, but we're just going to extend it to a date uncertain is very much kind of feels like a bait and switch. And I think the communities have reached their limit. Certainly we have, and I believe our friends in the Palmdale and Lancaster feel similarly, because the data that is being disseminated just does not correlate to these extended restrictions, particularly here in Santa Clarita and the North County.
Well, absolutely, and it's kind of interesting because when you do look at the county-wide data, it does paint kind of a bleak picture. Numbers are higher than anywhere else in the state as far as incidences and infections and deaths, but that is county-wide. When you look at numbers here in the north end of the valley, Santa Clarita, you mentioned the Antelope Valley, numbers are remarkably different. And so that variance that you requested just requested what the governor's given counties throughout the state. Based on regional differences, you can make different decisions on different timelines. You can accelerate. that's all you're requesting. I know you and I have talked about it on the show before, but I do want to make clear with our listeners what it is that we as a city can and cannot do right now, which is kind of the whole point behind the variance, the request. What kind of authority do you have to open things up, or are we just completely subject to the LA County Department of Public Health?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the city of Santa Clarita issued no orders to shut down businesses or schools or mask requirements. I mean, none of those orders were put in place by the city of Santa Clarita. They were all done by the state of California or the county of Los Angeles. And as we saw with a local business here with Crazy Autos, who chose to open for in-room dining, the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health came in and shut them down because it's a violation of a county order, not a city order, but a county order. And so somewhere when it comes to cosmetology or salons or restaurants that have liquor license, like those are all issued by the state of California. And so again, if people choose to open up, the city of Santa Clarita does not have the ability to shut you down, but the state of California certainly has the ability to come and take your liquor license, take your cosmetology license. The county can have public health officials come in and shut you down that way as well. So, it's a frustrating position for most local cities, but particularly those like Santa Clarita, that the data does not justify the lockdown orders that are in place, but it is we are limited in what we can do to get people back up and running. And so that was kind of the genesis of creating a North County coalition and petitioning the county for a variance, letting us use the data that we have in place for our communities to accelerate the reopening as it fits our community differently than other parts of the county.
Yeah. And you mentioned that we haven't heard back yet. Is there something that we as citizens can do to help support us having a little bit more authority, a little bit more autonomy here within our region? Would you suggest we call or email Catherine Barger's office, or is it just kind of a waiting game right now?
No, I mean, I think Supervisor Barger's been a good partner for us. She I think understands where we're coming from. She knows her district and the needs, particularly in the demographics here in the North County. So I think reaching out to her office and encouraging her support and her advocacy for our efforts, I think certainly doesn't hurt, because when you look at the data, and this is for all of the Santa Clarita Valley. So while I don't. I only obviously serve in the city of Santa Clarita, but if we're looking at the Santa Clarita Valley numbers, we had, as of yesterday, there were a total of 945 cumulative cases in the valley since we started in tracking in early March. A full 222 of them have been identified as prisoners in either Pitchess or the North County Correctional Facility. And so you're getting close to 30% of the total confirmed cases in the Santa Clarita Valley have been attributed specifically to inmates at those two facilities.
Yeah, so you're right. Our numbers are down, and those are not active cases. Those are total cases that include people who have gotten sick and completely recovered, correct?
Right. It's, from Henry Mayo, they are doing weekly updates now, and so the last update from last week, they had listed 12 people were currently hospitalized, and 62 had recovered.
Okay.
At that point. So you're looking at, and unfortunately we do know of 8 reported deaths at Henry Mayo, and so that's important to factor in as well. But the overwhelming numbers still show that Santa Clarita is in position to move into a responsible manner to reopen, while still following guidelines of social distancing and limited capacity and and facial coverings when you're in an essential business and all of those still are reasonably should be in place for for an extra period of time. But to keep us under the current lockdown order is really absurd, and it's going to get. I get concerned for how communities are going to react when you start to see neighboring counties opening up. So there's talk that Orange County is going to start allowing in-room dining countywide as early as this weekend. But by June 1st, I think you're going to see many counties opening up restaurants, opening up their barbershops and salons, and currently LA County is just going to double down and try to keep the largest county in the country under really absurd lockdown orders.
Okay, so we've always got to have that next step planned or a plan B, if you will. Let's suppose that your request gets denied from the LA County Board of Supervisors. What recourse do we have after that?
So we have a meeting with our North County partners later this week with the city managers, and then the 3 mayors are going to have a Zoom meeting to talk about just that, or that'll be part of our conversation. I think the goal is to develop our reopen plan in anticipation of getting the green light. And so, what does that look like for the North County? But also, what are the options if the county does reject our request? I know I've asked our city attorney to look at that. And to look at what possible options there are, and so if we hear prior to next Tuesday's council meeting that we've been unsuccessful in our petition, then we as a council will have the opportunity to take some type of action on our council meeting on Tuesday. But that is certainly not on our radar. I would not. I don't hold a lot of. We have to be prepared. I think. Sure. I would hope that the county would see, the merits of this, and given the fact that the governor has just yesterday even further relaxed the orders for counties that want to open up, I think shows that he is ready to move more quickly, and it would make sense for LA County to do the same.
Absolutely. The governor yesterday was talking about haircuts and pro sports happening here pretty soon. So yeah, I think it's definitely time for us to get moving in that direction. Now, there are some things that are under our local control, and you've made some decisions, you and the other leaders here in the city, in regards to City Hall, libraries, skate parks, dog parks. I mentioned I've got a little Chihuahua, Coco, at home that asks about it every day. Can you talk to us about these new reopenings? Is it a full reopening of these city facilities, or is it still with some limitations?
So there are still some limitations. For example, our libraries are still curbside right now. Mm-hmm. I think we want to ease into that transition before we're opening the facilities again to the public. The City Hall is back open to the public. The dog park is back full capacity. Skate parks back open. Certainly, we want people to continue to try to interact and stay within their family cohort, to wear facial coverings if you see fit. You do not have to. But if you feel comfortable doing that, try to maintain that social distancing component. But I think most local government officials were very disturbed, and I certainly was, when you saw the city of LA pushing sand into the skate park at Venice Beach to ensure people weren't going to use it, and utilizing city money and city resources. And I can only imagine what it's like to have to clean that when they decide to reopen. But that's not how we want to do things in Santa Clarita, and we were happy to be able to open up those facilities. And part of the reason we were able to do that is, as we've talked about, Santa Clarita never closed our city parks or trails, unlike the county or the city of LA and others. Right. And despite keeping all of those open, we never saw a huge surge of cases or overwhelmingly pressures on our healthcare system, because our residents followed the guidelines. They were respectful, they were responsible, and as a result, I think we as the council feel very comfortable being able to do the same and opening up additional facilities to our residents, because people in Santa Clarita are responsible, and we trust our residents, and they've shown that we can do, they can follow responsibly, we can follow these orders, and that's another reason why it's important to let us open up sooner and faster, because our residents, Santa Clarita, knows how to handle it.
All right. We're talking this morning with Mayor Cameron Smyth. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to be back. We've got several questions from our listeners for you, Mr. Mayor. And if you haven't posted, get them posted now, because the time will go quickly. You're listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. I'm your host, Matt Watson, with Mayor Cameron Smyth on your hometown station, KHTS.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
Traffic brought to you by Frontier Toyota. Frontier Toyota reminds you to drive safely. Shop from home at frontiertoyota.com or visit their showroom on Valencia and Creekside. See their all-new, hot and exciting 2020 Toyota Camry. Frontier Toyota, the Camry Kings.
These days, it's hard to figure out how to fill all the self-isolation time, let alone figure out what to have for lunch or dinner. Salt Creek Grill owner Greg Amsler is helping us out in a big way. Salt Creek is now offering takeout and curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Now, if you'd like, you could stay at home. They participate with Uber Eats, Postmates, DoorDash, and Grubhub. Their entire menu is available for pickup or delivery, including to-go beer and wine. Hey. In addition, Greg's offering wine at 25% off, along with daily specials. If you'd like to buy a gift card for a future visit, now's the time. Buy a $50 gift card and get $10 extra on the card completely free. Buy a $100 gift card, you get an extra $25. Salt Creek Grill, located next to Regal Cinema at the Valencia Mall. For more info, go to saltcreekgrill.com.
Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, real estate developers, realtors, contractors, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker is one of Santa Clarita's leaders, consistently listed as one of our most influential. When everything is on the line and you need legal counseling, visit hackerlawgroup.com.
Save water and save money. SCV Water wants to help you find your fit and take advantage of conservation rebate programs that will help you save. Water your landscape more efficiently. Replace your lawn with water-wise plants. Conduct free in-home water surveys. Cover your swimming pool and more. Find the programs that fit your needs and start saving today. Visit conserve.yourscvwater.com to learn more.
That's conserve.yourscvwater.com.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
And welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 on the FM dial and 1220 AM. This is SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley's Homeschooling Answers with Matt Watson. We're talking this morning with Mayor Cameron Smyth, and As I mentioned before the break, we're taking your questions on the KHTS Facebook Live feed. So if you've got questions for the mayor, get them in quickly. I've got a few here for you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a listener that was asking about the reopening of park facilities. I believe the restrooms are open. They're asking if bathrooms have been reopened. When can we reopen playground equipment?
So, yes, bathrooms are open. Playground equipment still remains closed right now. I think the concern is a little bit about, the amount of touching at playground equipment and some of the challenges of keeping that clean. But I think that'll be the part of the next round of opening. But yes, bathrooms are open.
Okay. The second question comes in. Says the outbreak in the prison still affects our local hospital and city, does it not? So that brings that's something that never occurred to me. The outbreak in the prison is actually pretty significant, and there have actually been reports out that prisoners were infecting themselves on purpose, hoping to get their sentence furloughed and to get out. Are they being treated in our local hospital, or are they being treated there in the prison? Do you know?
So I would think if they require hospitalization, they would probably be at Henry Mayo, but if not, I believe there is triaging centers set up at the prison. Okay,
that's a good point. The huge majority of cases don't require hospitalization, correct? Okay, let's see. Next one. Over the weekend, a number of businesses in those areas, and I'm assuming they're referring to the coalition that you referred to earlier, Palmdale, Lancaster, Santa Clarita, were visited by Department of Health officials and told to close showrooms and dining rooms. We talked earlier about crazy autos. Let's see. Do you see a connection with the variants that we've requested and the visitation by the health department this weekend?
So
that's an interesting one.
It is a little, again, I try not to be a conspiracy person, but it did seem a little bit interesting that within 72 hours of us requesting the variants, the local public health officials, county public health officials, decided to take a sweep through Santa Clarita. But again, I'm not one who tries to subscribe to conspiracies, but the timing does raise some questions.
Those old enough to remember. Maybe we'll get Arsenio Hall here in the studio and just have him talk about things that make you go, Let's see. The next one talks about a discrepancy in the number of deaths here in the Santa Clarita Valley. You've talked about how there's been 8 deaths at Henry Mayo. This question here asks, the total Santa Clarita Valley deaths is now at 18. Why do you continue to just talk about Henry Mayo deaths? I'm all for opening the city, but we must be truthful and complete with the data on a daily basis. When you're not, people don't trust what we say.
And that's I appreciate the question, and that is true. On Thursday, I guess we sent our letter on Thursday. I think late Thursday afternoon or Friday, LA County Department of Public Health reported an additional 9 fatalities within the city of Santa Clarita or the Santa Clarita Valley. Which I think should raise some concerns as well, that the county had those numbers for how long did they have them and didn't share them with our community. They acknowledged that those people that there wasn't 9 people who passed away in a 24-hour period. They aren't providing much more data than that, but the fact that the county had that data somewhere and hadn't disclosed it to our community for an extended period of time, I think raises additional concerns. But that is correct. There are a total, I guess, of 18 fatalities that have been attributed to Santa Clarita residents. Again, 8 that have occurred at our local hospital.
Okay, thank you. This question asks about PPE. Does the mayor encourage everyone to wear masks and social distance when around people?
I think it's still safe and it is still the direction from the county public health officials that if you are visiting an essential business, you wear a facial covering. Businesses can ask you to leave or deny you service if you don't. So I do certainly encourage people to continue to follow orders so that they are not subjecting themselves or local businesses to possible enforcement actions by the county. But again, if you, unlike the city of Los Angeles, you are not required to wear a mask when you are just outside or exercising or going to get the mail, driving in your car. You don't have to do that, unlike the city of Los Angeles. So we just want people to be respectful of one another and and understand and try to do your best to comply. And if you see someone that isn't, there's really no need to confront them because that can escalate and lead to a much bigger problem than it needs to.
Sure, absolutely. Now, this one, I certainly don't want to steal your thunder, but I can totally answer this next one. I'm going to give you the first shot, though. I'm assuming that it refers to those landmark events for our high school seniors, like graduation. The question says, can't we have a ceremony with one child at a time, maybe out in front of a school, and as each child is called, they walk up and pick up their diploma from a table, have a photographer take a photo with the graduate holding up their diploma in front of the school. Do you want to handle that one? Because I've been dealing with this all week.
So tell me, I'm sorry, you cut out real quick about the graduation.
So the question was about graduation ceremonies. Can't we have a ceremony where one child at a time comes up to pick up their diploma where there's a tremendous amount of social distance?
Again, that is ultimately up to the schools, and the Hart District on how they would want to do that. Unfortunately, our county public health officer seems to look for things to look for problems that aren't there, and I know that last week she had indicated that drive-through diplomas could be a problem, and I just think that it's getting a little bit absurd in some cases. I don't know about the individual kind of situation you described, but I think we've taken the government, or the county and state in particular, have taken so much away from our students this year that we should try to find as much flexibility as we can when it comes to graduation and graduation ceremonies, because everybody understands that you're not going to have a traditional CLC type graduation with everybody in the stands, and that's unfortunate, and that's being taken away from families. And so I think flexibility should be given as much as possible to allow the best possible ceremony that that we can come up with.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, I deal with this on a very personal level. I'm the father of a senior graduating this year, and obviously we also at SCVi, we've got our graduating class that was looking forward to. SCVi is known for its very, very special, intimate and personal graduation ceremony. We were hoping to do something with physical distancing, with masks and keeping everybody safe. We did reach out to the county health department, and they were very, very clear on their response to us that they are telling schools in the LA County that the only graduation ceremonies that will be taking place at this time will be 100% virtual. So that's the response that I got from the health department. So that was kind of where we're at, and yeah, we are a little bit disappointed with that, but again, like everything else, we're gonna kind of have to roll with it. This last one here, Mr. Mayor, is actually not a question. It says no question for the mayor, but from those of us that are citizens here in the Santa Clarita Valley, can you just express our gratitude for the way that he fights for us and the way that he leads our city? So I think we'll go ahead and wrap up with that one there, Mr. Mayor. So many of us out there, so grateful for your leadership. Like I said, you picked a tough time to be mayor this year, but I think we picked and landed on the right person for the job to lead us through these incredibly difficult times. Please stay safe, please stay healthy, and we'll talk to you next week, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, sounds good, man. Appreciate it. Thanks very much, man.
You take care. We're going to take another quick commercial break. When we come back, we will be talking about some interesting and innovative ways that people are coping with the situation that we've got going on. And for more information on how COVID-19 is affecting our valley, please go to hometownstation.com and click on the red banner. There you'll find tips on the economy, health updates, special business hours, and much, much more. You're listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye in the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. I'm Matt Watson on your hometown station, KHTS.
The stress was unbelievable. Debbie Morris is a changed woman. A giant boulder's been lifted. Debbie called Made for You. I'd finished a day of work. Professional, residential, and commercial cleaning. Walk into my house. Made for You. It was an absolute pigsty. Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or even one-time seasonal cleaning. Our mess kept growing. 255-2922. Even when we weren't home. 255-2922. Made for You rescued me.
The coronavirus has put us in a position of creating a new normal. Family Law at Home understands. Their goal is to meet you in the safest place possible, and these days that might be in your own home in a virtual meeting. Family Law at Home will provide you with immediate advice on your family law matters, such as divorce cases, child custody disputes, and domestic violence. It's as easy as going to FamilyLawAtHome.com. You'll choose your own consultation date and be in immediate contact with one of their esteemed attorneys. Family Law at Home handles the legal aspect while you and your family navigate the new chapter in your lives. Go to FamilyLawAtHome.com.
You see so much when you look at your child. A creative spirit that surprises you every day. Curiosity that develops into exploring unique passions. A little leader growing every day to discover who they are, what they love, and how they can make their mark on the world. At SCVi, we see those same amazing things. Our tuition-free K-12 charter school gives your child boundless opportunities to think critically and imagine freely, with a customized learning program built around each individual student. As iLEAD's founding school, SCVi combines an immersive approach to traditional subject learning with extracurricular activities including STEAM, robotics, theater, music, and sports. SCVi has the only international baccalaureate program in Santa Clarita, with a 10-year proven track record of graduates excelling at top universities. And we're in your backyard, just off the 5 freeway in West Santa Clarita Valley in Castaic. For enrollment information or to learn more about our program, including homeschool options, visit iLeadSantaClarita.org. iLEAD Schools, free to think, inspired to lead.
Hi, this is Bob Schertz with the Way Out Recovery SCV, reminding you that during these unprecedented times, addiction and mental health do not take a break. If you or someone you love are struggling, please give us a call at 661-296-4444. We are open and here to help you during this time. Thanks.
Town Cleaners on Soledad is offering free dry cleaning for all first responders and medical personnel. Free pickup and delivery is also available. Call Mo at 250-1542. 250-1542. Town Cleaners on Soledad.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
We salute our veterans who sacrificed for our freedom.
Santa Clarita veteran Bill Reynolds.
Each week, we share an inspirational story of a local veteran on our Hometown Heroes page at hometownstation.com. Thanks to our good friends at Eternal Valley.
I'm Richard Nunnally, General Manager of Eternal Valley Memorial Park and Mortuary. We believe taking care of each other is what community is all about. We're proud to bring you the stories of our hometown heroes.
Eternal Valley, life well celebrated.
Mission Valley Bank is a commercial bank in the Santa Clarita Valley that really puts the community into community banking.
At Mission Valley Bank, we strive to be a trusted advisor to our clients, and that means being an integral part of the communities we serve. We started the Give Where You Live program to help bring awareness to our nonprofit partners. We're more than just a local business bank. In fact, we're a full-service, independent commercial bank that is locally owned, community-minded, and relationship-driven. I'm Tamara Gurney, President and CEO of Mission Valley Bank, and I invite you to experience the Mission Valley Bank difference, where your success is our mission. We want to be your most valued bank.
Mission Valley Bank has been named Most Trusted Advisor Business Banker by the San Fernando Valley Business Journal 5 years in a row, and received the Business Leadership Award by the Santa Clarita Valley Chamber of Commerce, Valley Industry Association, and SCVi Economic Development Corporation. Visit them at their Center Point branch location or at missionvalleybank.com. Member FDIC.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you're listening to Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. Well, we just wrapped up with Mayor Cameron Smyth. We appreciate the questions that you sent in. Obviously, there were, as always happens, there were a couple there toward the end that I wasn't able to get to, and I apologize for that. I did want to get to one of the questions that wasn't directed at the mayor, but comes up just about every day. Matt, why are you sitting in a room by yourself, wearing a mask like a fool? Well, just to answer that, I'm sitting in this room. I'm the only one you can see, but I'm not the only one here. It's kind of a small room, but we do maintain our distance. We got about 7-8 feet distance between me and my engineer, Shane, who is right here off camera.
Hello, hello.
See, he's there, I promise. I'm not the fool that I appear to be, at least not all the time.
Come on, Matt. It's all you. You do everything. You push all the buttons. You're the host. You're the person on camera, so you take all the credit. Come on.
There we go. I just get the microphone and I blow, but Shane's doing all the hardcore technical stuff. But yeah, to answer that question, we are both in here with our masks, so want to make sure that we stay safe. You know, we were talking about Mayor Smyth, or talking with Mayor Smyth about turning that corner. We're now in phase 2, or is it stage 2? You know, it's interesting. I hear different people refer to phase 2 versus stage 2, and you know, I taught English for 14 years. I was always fascinated by semantics and shades of meaning, and like I said, now I'm hearing some people refer to phase 2 and other people refer to stage 2. I find it interesting, and I look probably way too deeply into it. So yeah, if you ever want to hear me geek out a little bit on shades of meaning, ask me what I mean about the difference between phase 2 and stage 2, because I've got my own ideas and conspiracy theories behind phase versus stage. You know, I've also, it was fun. I had a little bit of fun last night on social media. We've got a bit of an inside joke at SCVi about whether it's data or data, and we've been arguing that one for years, and the argument spilled onto a Facebook post yesterday. Think about that for a minute. We're arguing on a Facebook post about whether it's data or data, and if you're thinking, if it's a Facebook post, it's textual, so how are you arguing? Yeah, that was why I was willing to spend so much time arguing, because no, we weren't even using diacritical marks to talk about what we were talking about. Just one person saying, no, it's DATA, and someone else yelling back at them, you fool, it's DATA. You got an opinion on that, Shane?
Well, what is it? Is it data or is it data?
Okay. So to let the rest of the community in on our inside joke, we actually had a professional development. We had a training years ago, and we were looking at student assessment data, and the person who was there as the expert leading us kind of paused himself and looked up and said, is it data or is it data? And you know me, I never have the right answer, but I'm always confident with the answer that I throw. That's, you don't need to be right as long as you're confident, right? So I just threw out data. And so the next time he got to that word, he said data, and I very confidently threw out data. And I had this guy spinning in circles for a couple of days. It turned into an inside joke among the staff that anytime someone would say it one way, you corrected them and said it the other way, which is why it was funny that it spilled into a textual argument last night. But I do want to talk about how people are innovating right now, because it is really, really fascinating. We as a species, but especially as Americans, we have this remarkable ability to innovate and adapt to what we're going through. Right now we're living through unprecedented times, and things can be really, really challenging. We talked about some of those challenges the last couple breaks, but people are doing some amazing things to adapt. You know, we all know about how schools have gone virtual. We've talked about and we've talked with our educators and the amazing things they're doing now at SCVi and iLEAD schools to adapt and bring not only a decent quality education during these difficult times, but the same, if not in some cases, I'm even seeing higher quality education taking place at our iLEAD schools now than even before. In fact, we've got a couple of guests coming in later on this week that are talking about how they've challenged their kids not to use COVID as an excuse. They've challenged their kids to use COVID as a way to level up. And so we'll be having Dustin Langning and Aiden Bybee coming in a little bit later on this week. We hear every Monday. Yesterday we heard from folks at the COC Foundation. We get somebody from COC in here every Monday that talks about the amazing things that they're doing to support their students, and we'll hear more about that the next Monday that we're on. We've talked about Graham Silver, our driveway DJ, who's doing amazing things, a guy who had a great excuse to just lay back and say, well, DJs are out of business right now, but not Graham. He's driving around from neighborhood to neighborhood, and he's spinning his records and giving neighborhoods an amazing time as the driveway DJ. In case you haven't, in case you on Facebook Live hadn't noticed, my son is even trying his hand as a barber. And I was reading some fun things yesterday. Amid the social distancing restrictions, there's a Roman Catholic priest in Detroit, a city that's actually been hit really hard. He's taking an interesting measure in order to bless his congregation. As parishioners drive by the entrance of his church, he waits with his holy water, like a priest does. And as they slow down, they roll down their windows, and he shoots them with holy water from a squirt gun. That was really innovative. There's a mailman in Bolton, England, and he needs to take care of those that he serves and delivering the mail. And with most of them stuck at home, he's decided to entertain the people on his route. He's now dressing up in different costumes like cheerleader, Waldo, even Cleopatra, and now everybody every day comes to the door waiting for him to make his rounds. There's a TikTok star, Mia Finney. Her dad is helping her enjoy some of her favorite unquarantined experiences, but right there in the safety and confines of her living room or kitchen. He's setting up her favorite Starbucks or her favorite McDonald's or her favorite movie theater right there inside their home. So, for example, for the movie theater, he made popcorn, dressed up as a movie theater attendant. He even took her ticket and put numbers on the seats of the couch. For the Starbucks, he had the whole drive-through experience complete with a Wii steering wheel and headset, printed the Starbucks logo, and used the NutriBullet to make her a blended coffee. What about you? What are some of the fun, creative, innovative, or silly ways that you've adapted? Will you send us an email or you post it on Facebook Live for us and let us know what you're doing to innovate. Again, it can be silly, it can be fun, it can be creative, it can be something that you've had to do because of medical need. How are you adapting? Send us an email at homeschoolinganswers@ileadschools.org or post it here on the Facebook Live feed. We want to hear what you're doing to innovate. We want to share your story, your creativity, your innovation. Well, it's time to check local and national news stories, get the latest updates. Do stick around. When we come back, we'll be joined by iLEAD School's Strategic Arts Coordinator. You're listening to SCVi Charter School's Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers with your host, Matt Watson, on your hometown station, KHTS.
There's a very good reason Embrace Your Smile has been voted Santa Clarita's #1 orthodontist for 10 years in a row.
Honestly, it's our team.
Dr. Megan LeCornu.
I think for me, what makes it stand out is when I have patients that come up to me and say, we have never been in a doctor's office that feels like this. Our team is a family, and we really get along, and we are really passionate about what we do, helping our patients get the smiles they want and deserve.
Dr. Megan LeCornu of Embrace Your Smile Orthodontics.
Embrace your smile.
EmbraceYourSmile.com.
Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker has been ranked the 15th most influential person in the entire Santa Clarita Valley in 2010 by the Santa Clarita Valley Business Journal. When everything is on the line, call the Hacker Law Group.
Greetings, Santa Clarita. Hey, this is Bill Reynolds, president of our Veterans Memorial Committee here in SCV. This is a public service announcement to let you all know that, unfortunately, we have to cancel our standard Memorial Day ceremony, which was held every year at Eternal Valley. Crowd gatherings are not allowed per the COVID-19 virus. Therefore, we will conduct an abbreviated ceremony that will be aired right here on KHTS hometown station. So I urge you all to dial in here to this station on Monday, May the 25th at 10 a.m. You won't be sorry. Thank you.
And now, a cooking tip from Keith Mowry of Bob's Country Meats. Cooking brisket is simple, whether you do it in the oven or on the grill.
Okay, briskets come out nice. You want to brown them up real good on the barbecue over medium heat. Season them up however you like. Wrap them in foil. Put them on the other side, go down to a low temperature, low heat, and let that go for about 2.5, 3 hours, just on the low with the lid closed.
For the tastiest brisket in town, visit Bob's Country Meats on Soledad in Canyon Country.
KHTS, AM 1220 and 98.1 FM Santa Clarita. It's 10 o'clock. Time for national news on KHTS.
A new lifeline for farmers. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
My administration is launching a sweeping new initiative, the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program.
President Trump says it's a $19 billion effort to help support agriculture producers while also providing food assistance to American families by addressing supply chain problems that have led to crops and livestock having to be destroyed even while food banks have long lines. There's also a new push to bring more of the U.S. supply chain back to the U.S., especially for medications.
The Trump administration announcing that it has signed a $354 million four-year contract with a new company in Richmond, Virginia to manufacture generic medicines and pharmaceutical ingredients that are needed to treat COVID-19. The drug ingredients, which are now made overseas, mostly in India and China, will be manufactured at facilities in the U.S., including a new facility to be built in Virginia. In a statement, Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar called the initiative a significant step to rebuild our domestic ability to protect ourselves from health threats.
Fox's John Decker in Washington. At a Senate hearing, the Fed and Treasury chiefs praising the financial response to the pandemic so far, while Democrats like Sherrod Brown say more is urgently needed.
If Congress does not act now to put money in the hands of people who actually power our economy, in workers, their families, in Main Street businesses, in struggling communities, we risk making the economic crisis worse.
But in the push for state aid, Republican Mike Crapo is concerned about existing help getting to the right place.
I'd like to ask you to clarify that it is intended that these dollars do reach these small cities and counties.
Meantime, President Trump having lunch with Senate Republicans after calling a $3 trillion plan that passed the House dead on arrival. America is listening to Fox News.
Right now, the world feels different as we stay apart to make sure we can safely come back together. Till then, there is something you can do without even leaving your home. Respond to the 2020 census online, by phone, or by mail. The census impacts where hundreds of billions in federal funding will go for things like hospitals, schools, and roads. Now is the time to go to 2020census.gov. It's as easy as it is important. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
Dell Technologies has special business savings right now to help you office everywhere and stay productive. Save up to 45% on desktops, laptops, and do-it-all servers with Intel Core processors. Upgrade to new modern devices with Windows 10 and save on essential electronics. All with free shipping on everything and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call 877-ASK-DELL for a Dell Technologies advisor who can help you find the right tech. That's 877-ASK-DELL or visit Dell.com/smallbusinessdeals.
As Ohio's reopening continues, the governor is threatening a crackdown on bars that violate social distancing rules.
Photos surfaced on social media over the weekend showing packed patios outside some bars and restaurants in Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Columbus. Violations of social distancing policies that Republican Governor Mike DeWine tells Fox and Friends will be enforced, calling the rules essential.
To keeping people safe, and it's also essential for people having confidence that they can actually go out and be safe. Both of those are important from an economic point of view and health point of view.
Most businesses in Ohio are now open under social distancing guidelines. Bars and restaurants begin limited indoor service there this week. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
By the end of this week, only the nation's capital remains mostly shut down. New York's governor just announcing that a 7th region of the state can reopen. He's also allowing ceremonies to mark Memorial Day, but no more than 10 people. The company that administers the advanced placement exams for college credit says it has a backup plan after technical glitches hampered last week's at-home testing.
The College Board says students who have technical problems while submitting their AP exams can now email their work. But that's only for students who take the test on or after May 18th during the second week of testing. Exams started on May 11th, and the College Board says about 1% of the more than 2 million AP tests taken so far couldn't be submitted. Students and parents have asked the College Board to allow them to resubmit their time-stamped work, but the company says they have to take makeup exams instead. The exams are important because if a student scores high enough on their AP exams, colleges will offer them a semester or a full year's worth of credit in that subject. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Stocks are mixed. The Dow's been lower. Elisa Brady, Fox News.
Thanks for listening to KHTS AM 1220, Canyon Country, California. K260CO 98.1 FM, Santa Clarita, California.
At iLEAD Agua Dulce, we believe the most important thing a child can learn in school is who they are. Life's real tests are never standardized, which is why we've developed an individual-based curriculum that values exploration, cooperation, and creativity. As our learners grow, so do we. Our tuition-free charter school is currently enrolling grades TK through 7th and adding 8th grade in 2020. Your young learner will be immersed in a unique environment where possibility and self-discovery are at the core of every experience. The Agua Dulce campus features beautiful indoor and outdoor spaces for hands-on inspiration, including a robotics lab, a garden bed, a greenhouse, and a technology-based exploratorium. iLEAD Agua Dulce is conveniently located on the east side of the Santa Clarita Valley, just off the 14 freeway. Check out our homeschool options too. To schedule a campus tour or learn more about our programs, visit iLeadAguadulce.org. We're enrolling now. iLEAD Schools. Free to think, inspired to lead.
Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker has been ranked the 15th most influential person in the entire Santa Clarita Valley in 2010 by the Santa Clarita Valley Business Journal. When everything is on the line, call the Hacker Law Group.
I'm Matt Denny, CPA, with Denny & Company, LLP, your hometown CPAs. Here are some tips to help you with anxiety you may have about your income tax returns for 2019. The deadlines for filing both state and federal returns have been extended to July 15. Both the state and the feds are also extending the time for making 2019 tax payments otherwise due, without interest or penalty, to July 15. These details keep changing, so contact us at 661-286-8860 or see our website at dennyllp.com.
Today for lunch, why not try The Sandwich Shop, located on Avenue Stanford, right off Rye Canyon. The Sandwich Shop offers dozens of hot or cold, affordable, premium deli sandwiches. Gourmet soups and salads are also available. Regulars indulge in the cheesy focaccia rolls, which is a customer favorite. Then top it off with owner Charlie Chung's chunky chocolate chip cookies. Breakfast and catering is also available. The Sandwich Shop since 1983, located on Avenue Stanford, right off Rye Canyon. ValenciaSandwichShop.com to place your order. Hey there, it's Tori with your hometown station weather. Mostly sunny today with a high of 69 degrees, a low of 51. For anything and everything Santa Clarita Valley related, including the latest on COVID-19 here in the Santa Clarita area, go to hometownstation.com.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
The following is sponsored programming and does not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, your host. You're listening to Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. My next guest is iLEAD School's Strategic Arts Coordinator, Sara McDaniels. Sara's a longtime resident of Santa Clarita who's a huge advocate for the arts, so she's perfect for this position. On any given weekend, Sara and her family can be found at any number of events in and around the Santa Clarita Valley, and even now with the quarantine and all the restrictions, she's still finding ways for her and her family to be involved in the community. She's one of the most affable people that you'll ever meet and remarkably multi-talented, and she continues to develop new talents all the time. For example, you probably know her as Producer Sara, and Producer Sara is also celebrating an anniversary with us today. Sara, welcome to the show. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It is the first anniversary of your marriage, and I understand that your husband, Vincent, even took the day off to be with you, and we're pulling you away from him today. So we're really grateful that you're able to join us this morning. Now,
I'd be doing the show anyway, so. Just
right?
In another capacity. So.
And those are your friends that love you most. Want to say happy anniversary to Vincent as well, and let him know how grateful we are to him for coming back into your life and making you so happy. Before we get started, Sara, I want to set some ground rules and some guidelines. You cannot mention any websites or any phone numbers during our conversation because there's nobody there to post them on the Facebook Live feed as you do.
I could post them afterwards.
Okay, fine. So, Sara, give us a little bit of background. You've been involved with SCVi since, year zero or even before year zero, if that's a thing, since before our school ever opened, and in several different capacities. Can you give our listeners a little bit of history of your involvement with SCVi and iLEAD schools?
Well, sure, yeah. So I first heard of this woman, Amber Raskin, who was going to start this new out-of-the-box idea of a project-based learning charter school here in our community that focused on arts and international themes, as well as entrepreneurism and design thinking and leadership skills, and it was going to have these multi-age classrooms, project-based learning, and it sounded so exciting to me. And at the time, my son was, I think, 3 years old. And so I, reached out to her. I ran into a friend, also a friend of yours, at Trader Joe's, but way back when they were on Cinema Drive, and she told me about it. She said, you don't even need to write it down. You'll remember it. Their website is, SCV Charter School, because they didn't even have a name yet. And so I reached out to Amber and told her I was interested in, whatever I could do to help. I have background in nonprofit management, and so I wrote a pretty good fundraising letter and that sort of thing. So I wound up working a little bit with her, just sort of volunteering my time. We were really excited when the charter was approved. The first year the school opened, my son was still in preschool, not old enough to join the first year. And then the second year, of course, because SCVi was so successful, we had to have a lottery to admit people. And that year there were 40 spots for kindergarten, and there were about 120, I forget the exact number, it was over 120 names in the hat pulled for kindergarten, and my son's name was pulled 109.
It's just not right, Sara. That just seems so wrong. You worked so hard. If anybody deserved it, it's you. But if our listeners aren't familiar with charter schools, that's the way they work. If there are more people signing up than we have room for, it goes into a lottery. And no matter how hard you've worked, we've even had members in the community saying, what if I donate? Well, we'd be grateful for that, but for us to give you preference based on that is kind of illegal. So, we go strictly by lottery. So, your son Luke didn't get in that first year, or that second year, huh?
No, he did not. Fortunately, the board had just approved for a homeschooling component added to SCVi, which is funny to think of because we were a little nervous. Those of us parents who decided to homeschool, I decided to homeschool my son because I knew eventually he'd get in, and I didn't want him to go through that transition of being at our neighborhood school and pulling him out and moving him to another school. So I thought, it's kindergarten. How bad could I mess it up? Let's homeschool for a while, and then when he starts school, he will only start at SCVi. And so we had to get it approved by the board. We were so nervous that we didn't think we'd have enough parents signing up to be in the homeschool program. And, of course, as you know, that's probably even more popular or just as popular as our site-based program is today. But we didn't know that was going to happen. We got approved to add homeschooling, which we did. And one of the things, there are some, we're public school, you have to go by the lottery.
Right.
But there are a couple of things that do give preferential treatment. One of them is sibling priority. So say, for example, once Luke was already in, his sister, I just signed her up. I didn't have to go through the lottery because she had sibling priority. And one of the other things that gave you priority is if you committed to homeschooling for a full semester, you moved up the list. So you became the next person to get a spot. And we were very, very fortunate because as it so happened at the semester break, another family who had a kindergartner moved, and that was right when my son's name went to the top of the list. And so we only homeschooled for one semester, and the only school he's ever been to, he's now finishing 10th grade, has been SCVi, and his sister's finishing 7th. So I didn't go on the payroll until about 9 years ago, and I did a variety of things then. In fact, it's very funny because the very first job I asked them for, this is something I did as a parent volunteer. I've always been really passionate about arts education, and I had been on a volunteer basis connecting SCVi with local arts organizations and helping to develop some partnerships with the city of Santa Clarita, which it has an amazing support system for our schools, and especially focusing on the arts and also in sports.
We really do, yeah.
I love living here. I mean, it's why we moved here. So the very first job I ever asked Don Evenson to pay me for was pretty close to what I'm doing now on a smaller capacity. I said, I think SCVi, we were only one school at the time, I think SCVi needs an arts coordinator, and I'd be willing to do that. I got to get a day job, though, because my youngest is starting school, so I can continue to do what I'm doing here, and you don't lose me, or I'm going to have to go get paid to work someplace else when my youngest started school, and you'll lose all the time I've been giving you. And Dawn looked at me, and she said, I think you'd be great at that, and I would love for you to do that. We don't have the budget. There's no money for that. So find a grant or funding to pay you for that position, and we can do that. And then, of course, as you know, as things happen at SCVi or iLEAD, there was another position that I was able to cover, but it was full-time, and it took a lot of my hours, and so I didn't have time for a very long time to seek out a grant to develop the arts coordinator position, but came full circle about 6-7 years later. You actually helped me with that grant, and we were awarded a grant from Los Angeles. At the time, it was the LA County Arts Commission. It's now the Los Angeles Department of Arts and Culture. That helped create this new position at our schools, and it's been great.
Yeah, and in between time, you went from being an advocate to a parent volunteer to teaching art for a while in our schools. You've done outreach and marketing for our schools. You've done a tremendous amount of writing and development and coordinating and now producing a radio show and all different kinds of things. How have you been able to develop all of the different talents that you've been developing, and while, as you mentioned, working full-time, raising your family, all of which take a tremendous amount of time, how are you able to develop all these different skills along the way?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, I'm going to give a big plug for arts education here. I myself had a fantastic public school arts education, and then I went on to study theater arts in college. I have to say, of a life skill, when it comes to studying the arts, especially production, theater like I did, it's the most amazing project management tool you can give somebody, especially somebody young. So when you're developing a production, you start with a vision and you coordinate a lot of people to make it all come together, and then it works in a cycle. And so do a lot of projects. So I know a lot of people that work, maybe not necessarily in the arts, but in education like I do. Some people that I know that work in other development groups, a lot of them have a arts background, which taught them to be creative, to look for new ideas. And then another part of it, too, is that I always love to learn, and it's super easy for me to learn something I'm passionate about. I think it's the same thing for everybody, right?
Yep.
So when you're, I'm sure, I know that you love history, right? So I'm sure you're constantly learning more about history and meeting people who can help you, teach more history, or, now you provide professional development for our staff. But when you're in the classroom, connecting with those people are what really helped you be better at your job, right?
Yeah.
And it was the same thing for me. I just was always ready to learn, always taking advantage of opportunities, a lot of it in my own time, but just to get to know what other school districts are doing. How are they bringing the arts into their classrooms? What did they try that failed that I can learn from?
Sure.
Those types of things. And iLEAD's always encouraged that, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. You talked about how what you're currently doing with integrating the arts into not just developing a strong arts curriculum, but truly integrating arts with all of the different other subject areas, and being that arts coordinator was something that you wanted to do early on, but it wasn't a position that was funded. You needed to find grant money. Well, you've come full circle. Whether you found that grant or the grant, it's been a series of grants over the last few years. Whether you found them or they found you, you've moved into your current position as a result of a really exciting program that you brought to us a couple years ago. Can you tell us about the Arts Integration Program, Arts for LA, and the different things that you're doing? What is this program? What does it do? Who's it for? How does it work?
Well, sure. There's a couple of them. One of the things I participated in was a 9-month-long arts leadership training through the Arts for Los Angeles. And what that did is that brought iLEAD schools, because as a staff member of iLEAD schools, and they're only arts-focused person overall, like coordinator. We have a lot of arts-related facilitators over the years. What that did is it made us eligible to apply to receive strategic arts funding. So that we had a couple of people that came up from the Los Angeles County, at the time, Arts Commission, but now the Los Angeles County Department of Arts and Culture, who provided us with strategic arts planning coaching. And so we gathered a team of people, a variety, everybody from, we had students on the panel, we had, oh my goodness, I just spaced on his name. One of our initial arts commissioners from the community of Santa Clarita. We had parents, we had arts facilitators, we had school directors, we had facilitators who are not focused on the arts, and we developed a 5-year strategic plan, which we completed a couple years ago. And what rose to the surface with that was, okay, we've got this great plan. We don't want is what happens, unfortunately, in a lot of school districts, is you develop a strategic plan and it sits in a pretty binder on a shelf and it collects dust, right?
Right, yeah,
so,
of
yeah,
course.
we didn't
I've got lots of those
that.
plans.
Right? I think we all have, no matter where you work, and not just education, right?
Yep, my physical fitness plan is right there on the shelf.
Yeah, so what we realized is, we really need somebody to be the one to pull this along and not let it sit on a shelf. We need to hire an arts coordinator. And because we had been through this strategic planning, we became eligible to apply for what's called an arts advancement grant, and that's through the Los Angeles Arts Education Collective.
Okay.
And so we applied for that, and thanks to the grant, now it's a 1-year startup grant. You can't reapply. So the first year that we applied for it and we received, it was to create my position, to make me the arts coordinator. Now, iLEAD Schools has seen fit to continue to pay me in this capacity, which they've had to come up with the funds on their own, and I'm super grateful for that. And I think so are our families and all the professional development we've begun with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's been a beautiful process where the county has really encouraged financially. Thank goodness for that type of encouragement. Encouraged schools, school districts, our network of schools to really up their game in regards to arts education, and then the schools, once they experience it, recognizing the value of what this type of education brings, will then continue to follow through with that funding on their own, which is what happened with our schools. So take us through the process. It wasn't the goal wasn't just to provide Sara with a job or to open up a new position. There was some definite goals that we had in mind for our network. So can you talk about what some of those goals that the iLEAD team had identified?
Yeah, it's a very smart plan because it took us a while to develop it, and it may have felt a little daunting at first. The method that the county uses is called TOPS, and it's I really want to get trained. Speaking of always learning, I want to get trained in this method for strategic planning because it really helps you focus on, what are your pie in the sky goals? What do you have right now in your organization that's a benefit that's going to help you get there? And then, what are the steps you can take in between? So when we did this, we looked at who we currently had, what resources we currently have, not just as far as staff members or funding, but also of space, and parents who are excited about arts education. And out of that, what rose to the surface, there are two. Of the 5 major arts disciplines, there were 2 that we already had a really, really good foothold in, which are the visual arts and the theater and dramatic arts. So what we did was we focused our 5-year goal was so that by the end of, because it's not equitable, some of our schools have more than others. Mm-hmm. By the end of the 5 years, we'll have full vertical alignment K through 12, both in theater and visual arts. We're in year 2 now, and we're almost to where we wanted to be at the end of year 2, and I'm told that's really fantastic that many schools don't necessarily get there exactly on the 5-year timeline. So I'm trying not to beat myself up as a perfectionist that we're not there yet. COVID kind of threw us for a loop, but that's okay.
A little bit. So we've developed that full vertical alignment K through 12 as our goal, and when we come back, Sara, are you able to stick around for one more break?
Sure.
Because I want to talk about how you feel we're doing in terms of achieving those goals, and what are some of the specific things that our schools have been developing in order to help us get there. You talked about professional development. We'll talk about some of those things on the other side. Like I said, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but stick around. We'll be back. We're talking with Sara McDaniels, iLEAD School's Strategic Arts Coordinator. You're listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. I'm Matt Watson on your hometown station, KHTS.
Town Cleaners on Soledad is offering free dry cleaning for all first responders and medical personnel. Free pickup and delivery is also available. Call Mo at 250-1542. 250-1542. Town Cleaners on Soledad.
Folks, this is your pancake speaking. If you look out your window, we're flying over IHOP's delicious international pancake combos.
Sweet tres leches.
A pancation wonderland with views of Belgian chocolate, tres leches, and vanilla spice.
Pancakes.
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 Pancakes. Let's back this thing up and take another look.
Go on a pancation with international pancakes at IHOP, starting at $4.99.
And now a cooking tip from Keith Mowry from Bob's Country Meats. Everyone loves chicken. It's easy to cook in a variety of ways, especially on the barbecue.
Marinate it overnight in your favorite marinade. Brown it up nice on the barbecue, and then put it on the other side in direct heat. Close your lid. Take another 25-30 minutes, and they're good.
Chicken, tri-tip, pork chops, turkeys, steaks, even exotic game like buffalo and ostrich. For the tastiest chicken in town, visit Bob's Country Meats on Soledad in Canyon Country.
Greetings, Santa Clarita. Hey, this is Bill Reynolds, president of our Veterans Memorial Committee here in SCV. This is a public service announcement to let you all know that, unfortunately, we have to cancel our standard Memorial Day ceremony, which was held every year at Eternal Valley. Crowd gatherings are not allowed per the COVID-19 virus. Therefore, we will conduct an abbreviated ceremony that will be aired right here on KHTS hometown station. So I urge you all to dial in here to this station on Monday, May the 25th at 10 a.m. You won't be sorry. Thank you.
CBC Cleaning and Restoration is ready and waiting to clean and disinfect your home or business during these trying times. CBC is certified, OSHA trained, and insured for COVID-19. They are now offering 10% off services plus free disinfection application through June 30th. All staff wears full-on PPE and all equipment is disinfected before and after every job. Have CBC clean your carpets, upholstery, and hard surface flooring. Voted best commercial and residential cleaning company in the Santa Clarita Valley year after year. To take advantage of the COVID-19 special or more information, call CBC at 294-2221. That's 294-2221.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCVi may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call The Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. If you'd like to follow us on Facebook Live, we are also there. Just head on over to Facebook and check out the KHTS radio link, and you'll be able to peer in our studio here. You'll notice I do look like a blithering idiot, which I am, of course, but I am not actually sitting here by myself wearing a mask. Engineer Shane is right across from me. Producer Sarah is on the line. We're talking to Sarah about that other hat that she wears as the iLEAD School's Arts Integration Coordinator. She's doing a lot of amazing things to help improve the arts instruction at all of our iLEAD schools. Sarah, before we took a break, we were talking about the goals, that 5-year plan that that you and your strategic arts team had set out a couple years ago, and how you're pretty close to being on track. Got thrown off track like we all did with this this little pandemic here. But as you're looking forward, how do you assess our progress? How do you feel that we're doing so far?
We're actually doing really, really great. One of the beautiful things about our strategic arts plan is that it can be, a living document. It can be flexible. We applied for another grant. I guess it would be 2 years ago now, but it was a grant to help us increase the theater and dramatic arts at 5 of our schools. We have already had, a good foundation here at SCVi. We're very fortunate. I mean, part of that was because of space constraints, because SCVi already had sort of a built-in dedicated theater arts space, which made it super easy. And then we just had to hire some fantastic theater teachers, which we have in Ian and Kevin, and we're so grateful to them. But we wanted to expand that out. And then also Cordy, I can't leave her out of it too. She's an amazing theater facilitator. So we wanted to expand to increase the arts education at our Antelope Valley schools and our iLEAD Agua Dulce campus. And the beautiful thing is when we received this grant, Ian himself, he was allowed to adjust his hours for SCVi. He had been teaching 5 days a week. He was able to, because we're on a block schedule, adjust his teaching schedule. That gave him 2 days a week free. So he had Tuesdays and Thursdays free. Well, in the initial grant request, I had put in for funding to cover subs for Ian to go out and consult, okay. And make some adjustments. Well, what wound up happening, because we were able to schedule Ian's hours with no need for paying for substitutes or some transportation costs, we received this grant to increase our theater and dramatic arts learning. We had a little bit of, I don't know if I want to call it extra money. There's never enough money, but we had some money in the budget that we weren't anticipating. And you were there. You remember at the beginning of the school year, we had brought in an outside consultant that specifically works with general ed instructors on how to incorporate theater and dramatic arts into the classroom. So these are not arts-focused classes, but, here's a way to include theater and dramatic arts when you're, learning your numbers or when you're learning about the American Revolution. And it was a really great program, and we thought, we only had the budget in it to offer that program to just a handful of facilitators to pilot it. Well, we sort of introduced it in our August professional development sessions before the school year started, and asked our facilitators to apply if they wanted to be, one of the pilot facilitators to lead this program. Well, we had 40 facilitators from all across iLEAD that were like, me, pick me. So it was a real benefit that simultaneously Ian had already started adjusting his hours because he wanted to be able to get out to Antelope Valley and Lancaster and Agua Dulce. That we didn't have to cover that from the grant. So we were able to take a little bit of funding, add that into the professional development learning for this pilot program, and we were able to offer it. We made some adjustments. Instead of buying sets of resources, classroom resources for every single person, we bought classroom resources for every single campus that they had to share. But then they all got to participate in this professional development for theater and dramatic arts through an organization called the Drama Education Network. And that's been going amazingly well. The feedback we've had has been fantastic. And it was a year-long professional development. Started with a lot of hours early on in the fall semester. The facilitators participated. I think it was in about 21 hours worth of professional development. Plus, they go and they try things in their classroom, and they come back and we brainstorm on what worked, what didn't. And then we were continuing with some professional development sessions in the spring semester, and then we shut down because of COVID. Right. So what was so beautiful, right away our outside facilitator from the Drama Education Network, he and I talked, and I said, okay, we don't know if school's going to open in 2 weeks, so maybe we can talk about ways this could be re-entry into the classroom, because you kind of always, even if you break for winter break for 3 weeks, sometimes it's hard when the kids come back into the classroom, so maybe we can use some dramatic arts to help them with that, or some social emotional learning with how stressed they might be about this pandemic. And then we realized very quickly that we're probably not coming back this year. We're going to be just distance learning for the rest of the school year. And he was so easily able to transition, how can we use theater and dramatic arts to engage our kids online through distance learning. He was able to transition lesson plans that were based on, here's a great way to learn about the periodic table of elements using theater and dramatic arts. Well, okay, you know what? Right now, we need to be flexible. Our kids are a little stressed out. Our facilitators are doing an amazing job of keeping our learners engaged, and the theater and dramatic arts learning transitioned so seamlessly into what we have at iLEAD called advisory, or for our younger grades, we call it morning meeting. And so that pilot group of 40 facilitators has really been able to use the Drama Education Network plan to engage their kids, get them talking about, how they're feeling right now with school being closed. It's a great way for them to socially connect with their peers, and makes them look forward to logging in tomorrow for class. So we're really grateful that even though we didn't initially plan that's what the funding was going to be used for, it turned out to be just a beautiful thing that fit right in with what our kids were needing at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Sarah, what I love about it, and I want to highlight that, is that this is an arts integration curriculum. It's not an art class per se, or a drama class per se, although iLEAD Schools has certainly invested a tremendous amount in high quality educators in those areas. oftentimes when budgets are cut, when things are tight, the first thing that schools cut is the arts, because they can see them as kind of competing with those core academics, right? We don't have enough money for the arts right now. We've got to focus on math and science and things like that. It's interesting. Now that you've taken your eye off it, I'm starting to monitor the Facebook Live feed, and listener Karen is saying, it's interesting. I heard that SCVi was an art school, but our experience at SCVi showed the integration of art enhances the learning in science, history, math, design, and English. And that's kind of the goal, right? It's not to add more arts classes, it's to bring the arts into and enhance everything
more
we do.
arts classes.
Well,
Sorry,
of course.
I will tell you that. There's a benefit both, in a lot of ways. I mean, just because we're a project-based learning school, because we integrate the subject, the arts are a beautiful, thread that weaves together other subject areas. When you're going to, develop a project like the one that we do with our Civil War Living History Day, that our 8th graders, unfortunately, this year weren't able to participate in. The arts were a huge part of that in bringing together sciences and, history and language arts. And it's a really wonderful way to sort of bridge those subjects together. So for arts integration's sake is a fantastic tool. But then arts for art's sake also has its own benefits.
Sure.
When you look at, your son's a musician, right? So you look at some of the similar benefits, just was having a conversation with somebody about recently, are very similar outcomes that when you look at team sports. When you get down to the basics, like if a school is offering sports or if a school is offering music classes that really speak to a learner's passion, well, it's an attendance raiser. Kids are more motivated to show up at school, right? Sure. When you participate in the performing arts, you're really learning a lot of collaboration skills, ensemble in the performing arts, but you need to rely on other folks there. And it's the same thing with team sports.
Yeah, absolutely.
You learn how to rely on the other players. Your son's learning to rely on his conductor.
Right.
And as opposed to maybe like the football coach, right? So these are all wonderful life skills that the arts will teach you.
Yeah, and so it's my point is whether they're integrated or taught independently, the arts just enhance every other subject. We talk about, for example, STEM education versus STEAM education.
Right.
For those that are less familiar, we talk a lot about STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math, and then a little bit later on, it turned into STEAM education, and some schools focus on STEM, some schools focus on STEAM. STEAM is obviously the addition of arts. It's so funny, Sarah, oftentimes when we hear STEM or STEAM educators talk about it, they talk about the integration of arts. It's almost like science, technology, engineering, and math with glitter sprinkled on top of it. But
I know.
that is not what it is. And where it finally hit me was when we went with our science and math educators, as well as you and some of our arts folks, out to JPL. And we're looking at the Mars rover and the different satellites that they sent up and things like that. The first thing that struck me is what beautiful pieces of artwork, the creativity and beauty that went into these things, not just for aesthetic beauty themselves, but in order to help them create the most efficient design. They had to come up with some amazing works of art. And so that's what we're talking about is that art doesn't, it's not competing for, our test scores are low, so we need to eliminate the arts and double up on math and English classes. Absolutely not. Research has shown that a strong arts program actually does increase test scores and things like that. So it's good to hear that you
thinking, and it teaches you to think. And then, my son, it's funny, we were recently having a conversation about just education in general. My son looked at me and he goes, "Well, science is an art." Like he counts science as one of the arts, but he's right, because when you think about it, science is about experimentation, not being afraid to fail and try something new. Sometimes it can be challenging when you look at school, kids who maybe there's a correct sentence structure, right? There's correct grammar. When you look at math, there's almost always an exact right answer at the end, right?
Yep.
And that can, unfortunately, for a lot of kids, can be very discouraging if they don't get it right the first time. But there's something about the arts, sciences do this too, and that's why the A fits so perfectly in STEAM. There's something about the arts that gives kids and adults permission to fail, to not get it perfect the first time, to really enforce that mindset of like, I got to keep trying, I got to keep practicing. Same thing with sports too, right? Like,
yep.
You the first time you swing a bat, you're probably not going to make contact, but you don't just give up and walk away. You don't feel like a failure, and sometimes kids feel that way with math or language arts, and so that's one of the other beautiful things that the arts, learning the arts, can teach you about learning, and can teach you about trying harder and improving your craft, and you can apply that drive and that life skill to other subject areas.
And as quickly as things are changing in this world, there's nothing more important that we can teach our kids than to learn how to learn.
Yeah.
So Sarah, you're 2 years, you and your team are 2 years into your 5-year plan. Where do you see our schools going from here? What's next?
Okay, so a lot of this is we're doing the same thing that all the schools are doing. We're coming up with some contingent plans based on distance learning versus in-person learning. And, one of the programs that Ian was able to help start out there at iLEAD Lancaster, they had a part-time musical theater facilitator who wanted to expand the elective classes that he was offering in middle school, and they added a stage combat class, which was a beautiful, beautiful combination between physical education and learning the arts. But that's not going to translate as well into distance learning. However, there are other ways that we can do that, and especially I'm looking forward to working with Ramon about finding Ramon. For those of you who don't know, he's our film and video and new media. He was just on the show last week.
Right.
So there are some great ways, virtually or digitally, that we can still hit those wonderful points of creativity and collaboration and teamwork with kids who are working on projects that aren't necessarily in the same room.
Okay.
So we're trying to develop those plans, as well as we've got some stuff in the pipe that would hopefully be for in-person learning, and some of it may have to be postponed a semester, and everybody will be understanding of that.
All righty. And we've got about 1 more minute, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, Sarah. I know that a good portion of your time is spent integrating the arts and helping teach our facilitators how to include the arts in everything that they're doing and advocating for the arts. But another good part of your time is marketing and outreach. Sarah, do we have anything coming up at SCVi this Friday that our listeners might be interested in?
We have 2 things coming up this Friday that our listeners might be interested in, which is fantastic. So we have our traditional Catch a Rising Star, which is SCVi's version of Kindergarten Roundup, and that will be happening Friday evening at 6 p.m. virtually. And so that's geared toward kindergarten, first grade, transitional kindergarten families who are interested in learning more about that. And after I go off air, I'll post all the links on the Facebook Live. And then at 10 o'clock in the morning, to replace the fact that we can't have people in to take a tour of the school in person, our directors are going to be doing like a virtual intro to SCVi. So that's for anybody interested in any grade level, kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. If you're interested in learning more about the school, that will be happening Friday morning at 10 a.m. And again, I'll post the links in the comments for both of those.
Fantastic, Sarah. You're doing great things, and we're so grateful for your time this morning. Thanks for joining us on the air. You should come back in studio. We enjoy when you're here in studio with us.
I don't have a fancy mask. I'm going to have to get a fancy mask. Just have those little paper ones.
I think maybe we can hook you up. Alrighty, well, we do have to take one last commercial break, but we've got Kristina de Bree coming on to help us deal with our trauma Coming up next, you're listening to SCVi Charter School's Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. I'm Matt Watson on your hometown station, KHTS.
Dutton Plumbing, it's Eric.
It's Mother. Can you come over right away? It's urgent.
I'll be right there, Mom. Okay, I'm here. What's wrong?
It's been weeks since you had a haircut, so I want to give you a nice trim. Sit down.
Ooh, ow.
Gee, I can see myself in the back of your head, son.
Mom.
Oops.
What happened?
Never mind, it'll grow back. So, what's new at Dutton Plumbing, son?
Well, with so many people stuck at home, there's a lot of stuff getting stuck in their pipes. So, our $73 drain clearing is really keeping us busy.
Wait a minute. I bet the plumber's hair is getting shaggy, too. You tell them that Mom will cut their hair for just $73.
Isn't that a little high for a haircut, Mom?
Well, I'll toss in the manscaping for free.
Mom!
DuttonPlumbing.com.
Mom's $73 drain clearing at DuttonPlumbing.com. Manscaping not included.
Greetings, Santa Clarita. Hey, this is Bill Reynolds, president of our Veterans Memorial Committee here in SCV. This is a public service announcement to let you all know that, unfortunately, we have to cancel our standard Memorial Day ceremony, which was held every year at Eternal Valley. Crowd gatherings are not allowed per the COVID-19 virus. Therefore, we will conduct an abbreviated ceremony that will be aired right here on KHTS hometown station. So I urge you all to dial in here to this station on Monday, May the 25th at 10 a.m. You won't be sorry. Thank you.
These days, it's hard to figure out how to fill all the self-isolation time, let alone figure out what to have for lunch or dinner. Salt Creek Grill owner Greg Amsler is helping us out in a big way. Salt Creek is now offering takeout and curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Now, if you'd like, you could stay at home. They participate with Uber Eats, Postmates, DoorDash, and Grubhub. Their entire menu is available for pickup or delivery, including to-go beer and wine. Hey. In addition, Greg's offering wine at 25% off, along with daily specials. If you'd like to buy a gift card for a future visit, now's the time. Buy a $50 gift card and get $10 extra on the card completely free. Buy a $100 gift card, you get an extra $25. Salt Creek Grill, located next to Regal Cinema at the Valencia Mall. For more info, go to saltcreekgrill.com.
Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker has been ranked the 15th most influential person in the entire Santa Clarita Valley in 2010 by the Santa Clarita Valley Business Journal. When everything is on the line, call the Hacker Law Group.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Oh, welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. We are joined now, as we are just about every day, by Kristina de Bree. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist with a remarkable story of resilience and determination. You know, I've said it before, and I will say it again on demand if needed. You talk about life's lemons. We've all been dealt a raw deal lately, but Kristina was dealt one early on in life, but she took the pile of lemons that she was dealt, and she just turned it into not only lemonade, but lemon pepper chicken and lemon meringue pie, and just all kinds of just a delightful lemon-filled meal. She is a cystic fibrosis sufferer, but she didn't just lay back and suffer. She turned the trauma and the social distancing and quarantine lifestyle that she'd been dealt, and she turned it into a remarkably successful career helping others deal with their trauma, and she's become a resilience specialist, something that's just so important, so helpful. It's been really helpful to so many of us during this time. Kristina is a graduate at Cal State Northridge and Pepperdine University. Her practice is right here in Valencia. and she's studied extensively things like trauma and phobias and attachment disorders, suicide prevention, grief, all different things that so many of us are working through right now. She's also got more than 18 years speaking experience working with medical professionals, patients, schools, teens, adults, couples, business professionals. She kind of, does it all. She's pretty amazing. Kristina, good morning. Welcome in.
Good morning.
Kristina, we're focusing, it's May, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month, although we want to stay aware every day, every week, every month. We've been talking about trauma this week, and you kind of set it up yesterday, and now we don't always know when trauma is affecting us, right? When there's these huge events, certainly we know, oh, wow, that was traumatizing, but something that we're dealing with right now where it's just a little bit day after day, we're not always certain, when we've been, quote-unquote, traumatized. So are there symptoms, and if so, what are the symptoms of trauma, and how do we know, most importantly, how do we know when it's time for us to finally seek help for our trauma?
So those are some great questions. I think we can definitely spend the next 2 or 3 days really focusing on that, because it's the ways in which trauma can manifest and knowing when to get help. We could talk about that for a long time. So for some of the basics, trauma can manifest emotionally, and it can manifest physically. So some of the ways in which it manifests emotionally, we have, feeling shocked, in denial, disbelief, feeling confused, having difficulty concentrating, having anger, irritability, mood swings. Sometimes people will say, wrongfully say, oh, I feel like I'm bipolar. Well, that's an organic mental health issue, and sometimes it's really that they have a trauma-related diagnosis that they are using the word bipolar to describe their experience. Anxiety, fear, guilt, shame, self-blame, feeling like you're withdrawing from others, feeling sad or hopeless, and feeling disconnected or numb. So part of the difficulty is that this can really overlap with the anxiety and depression symptoms.
Sure.
So, part of it is just, hey, if you see that you're noticing a collection of symptoms, that's when you want to just reach out for an evaluation just to understand where you're at. We can also see that trauma has physical symptoms, such as difficulty sleeping, difficulty staying asleep, sleeping too much or not enough, having nightmares, fatigue all the time, being easily startled, difficulty concentrating, a racing heartbeat, feeling edgy or agitated, aches and pains, and muscle tension. And so really what you want to see is, if these symptoms persist for more than 30 days, or if the symptoms are, we talked about that scale before, 0 to 10, 0 being totally calm and at peace, 10 being the worst you can ever imagine. How, where are you? And if your 2-week average is like above a 5, you need to reach out for help.
Okay, so if it's a significant, dramatic change, or if we feel that extended change is when it's time to reach out for help. If you feel that you need help with your trauma or anxiety, depression, or anything else, I want you to call Kristina at 661-513-4857. 661-513-4857. I know producer Sarah is going to post the link to her website on our Facebook Live feed. It's KristinaDeBree.com. Kristina, thanks so much for joining us today. We'll talk to you tomorrow about what else we can do about our trauma and trauma-related diagnoses. That's all the time that we have for today, but I do want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank our guest, Mayor Cameron Smyth, Sara McDaniels, iLEAD Schools Arts Integration Coordinator, and Kristina de Bree, our show's official licensed marriage and family therapist. Join us again tomorrow and every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. You are listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. I'm Matt Watson, and this is your hometown station, KHTS.